Hey everyone, it's Coach Rachel again. I'm coming on this time to talk about intra-run nutrition. And today we have 3 products from Precision Hydration. Got their 1500 gram drink mix, their 30 gram chews, that's carbohydrates, that is, and 30 gram carbohydrate gels. So these are 3 products I just got in from thefeed.com, and I wanted to get those in for my long run, which was today, the day I'm filming it, Saturday, February 18th, and I had 35 kilometers to run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 3 products that I used and how I implemented them into my run today, and then stick around because at the end I have a couple tips and tricks to help you bring in fueling for your long runs and ultimately for your marathon, half marathon, or distance event of your choice, and just a couple little tricks there. So let's just dive right on into it. So the first thing that I tasted today was the 1500 gram, which is 1500 grams of salt drink mix. This is their new drink mix. So, but keep in mind that is for 40 grams of their drink mix by weight. This is only 20 gram sachet, so that means I was drinking 750 milligrams of salt. And that had a slight grapefruit flavor. God, say that 10 times fast. Whew. Anyway, it's mildly sweet, a little bit citrusy, but light overall. So even though it's the winter months right now, and it was actually maybe 35 degrees to 40 degrees while I was running today, I pictured myself drinking this during a typical Texas 1000 degrees, and I figured it's going to actually be a nice flavor to enjoy over the summer months. Digested very well. I have no complaints about it. I think it's going to hold up well, and it's comparable to an Element. I like both, and so they will be both part of my fueling routine. And then the next step, hold on, let me not do the blocks. Let's do the gel, because in order of how I consume these. And then the next item that I consumed was the 30 gram Precision Fuel Gel. 30 grams is indicative of how many carbohydrates are in the sachet here. And it's split almost, not quite 50-50, but it's 12 grams of sugar and 30 grams of total carbohydrate. So that would be made out of maltodextrin and fructose. And they use a little bit of pectin to make it a jelly-like substance. How did it taste to me? Well, it had a slight, almost Morton-like taste, but not quite the same. It didn't have any particular strong fruit flavor to it. It was just a little bit sweet. If anything, probably mildly citrus, but not to the extent of that grapefruit flavored Precision Hydration drink mix. It has a good substance to it. As you can see, it moves around quite easily in there. The only drawback, and it's not a major one, but just something to keep in mind, is the top. It's not very wide. So you tear it from up here, and it has a nice little leash to it so you don't litter. But I had to squeeze about 3 good times to get the gel out of the container. At 7-something minute per mile pace, it's not a big deal. But if you're hammering at whatever your race pace is, that kind of dexterity may or may not be in the cards for you. Just something to keep in mind. But overall, it sat on my stomach very well. The mild flavor to it I found pleasing. I don't want a strong flavored gel, particularly if I'm sweating and hot and overheating. That's just one more thing that I may not be able to stomach. So good flavor, good consistency, just slightly hard to get out of the package. And as far as minerals go, they don't put salt in these, so you'll have to be sure to get your electrolyte elsewhere if you're going to use their drink mix. Or they have actually a salt capsule where per each capsule serving it's 250 milligrams of salt. So you just pack you a couple of those to go with it. I have not sampled those yet. I'm going to try to get a hold of some. That's a great idea to have those with you. The last thing that did go into my hatch was the 30 gram chews. And I used the original flavor once again. And this one is mint lemon. I got 2 packets, but I used original. And I enjoyed the chews. There are 2 little blocks, so 15 grams of carbohydrate per block, or in other words, 60 calories per block. And these had like a mild sweet taste to them, a little bit chewy, but I did have them in my car when I came back and get them, so they were a little bit chilly, whereas the gel I had was in a little sports bra pocket, so it was body temperature, so I didn't have to worry about it becoming too thick or anything. I didn't think to do that with my chews, but nonetheless, it was okay. I chewed them, got them down the hatch, and drank more of that drink mix to fully wash those out of my teeth, because cavities are fun. And then I got on my way. So I used basically a third, and third, although the drink mix kind of lingered through the other 2/3, but I did drink a lot of it in the first third of my run, and then to fuel the middle third of my run, I enjoyed myself a 120 calorie gel, and then the last third, I fueled it with this. Now, for 35 kilometers, did I underfuel that a little bit, as that was about 300 total calories. As I forgot to mention, there are 61 calories per 20-gram satchel in the drink mix. Yes, you could make that argument. Did I feel okay and get by and have the energy for the run? I did, but you could also argue maybe another gel or packet of chews would have been most ideal for the fueling. So I do realize that it probably was just a little on the low side. So if you can consume more, do so. So that's a great segue of telling on myself into those tips and tricks I promised you. So I'm going to make sure I'm scrolled down here into a little list, because I've totally been looking at this the entire time and staying on track as I talk about gels with you guys. I have not. So fueling tips, early and often. You probably have heard that from other nutritionists, and there's a very good reason why they say early and often. You have only so much glucose in your mitochondria. So someone my size can probably store maybe 1,300 calories of sugar in their body, and maybe a couple 300 more calories in their liver. You could go up to 500 calories for that argument, maybe 1,400 calories in my body. That kind of varies a little bit, but you get the gist. I can eventually run out of my fuel source. Obviously, you want to be using some adipose tissue, meaning fat burning, when you're doing a steady long run, but eventually, after a certain effort, carbohydrate mixes in. And so you want to preserve what is in your mitochondria, basically your stored sugar, as long as you can. So by implementing a fueling strategy, you are preserving your fuel source for, say, the last 10 kilometers of your marathon. So early and often just keeps your energy up, keeps your blood glucose levels within your bloodstream at a fairly stable levels. You don't want to hit a hard patch, go up a hill, or say a tempo portion of your long run, and your glucose levels have fallen a little bit. That could even make you feel a little bit dizzy, but certainly could affect the paces that you're trying to run or effort. And it's also imperative that, on these long runs, that you're training your gut and learning how to eat these gels. As a lot of people say, oh, I just can't stomach it, my stomach is really sensitive. Well, that certainly can be the case for some folks, and you need to experiment with what nutrition products work for you. But that almost always is, you need to train your gut to eat these carbohydrate sources. And there's so many different brands out there. So that kind of just leads into reiterating that point, is try a variety of gels. So this is Precision Nutrition, the items that I've showed you today. Morton has products, GU has products. There's a lot of them out there. Although I have to say with the Precision, definitely worth your time. I pay for these out of my own pocket because I don't want anyone to think I'm being sponsored to say all these wonderful things about the company, but I was very happy with how my stomach performed for a 2-hour and 40-minute long run today. And so just kind of to cap that off, just remember your stomach problems when you're starting to get a cramp in the middle of your race. Almost always that is a sign of dehydration and a mineral imbalance. So as opposite as it sounds, that's the time you do need to get some Gatorade if that's what's being served on course. Or if you have a little flask in your pocket, that's when you do need to drink your water and have your salt capsules, eat a gel. I know that sounds painful, but you have to get that on board, or it's just going to keep getting worse. To say that, oh, I can't stomach another thing when you still have another hour or two to run, it's just going to be inevitable when you do fade. So please know that it does take time. It takes training. Please don't lose heart if you're doing a couple long runs and the gut's just saying no to all the gels. Please reach out to friends. Shout out in this channel down below in the comments if you need any further guidance. I'll be happy to answer any questions. So just train the gut. So with that being said, if anyone has tried Precision Fuel, please sound off in the comments. What do you think of it? Did you get a hold of any different flavors? Did you get any of their caffeinated products? I'll be really interested if any of you tried the electrolyte capsules. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Have a good one.